Hello and welcome to the House Huddle. I wanted to touch base with you all and to announce my new series that I'll be releasing called Defending Kessinger. What inspired this series to finally be released was yesterday, Shanann's brother left another comment on my Hidden Motives Part 1 video. Now, back when the video originally released, he was in the comment section, and it was interesting to get an alert and see that he had commented yesterday. Now, again, he's previously commented and he's always been respectful, even when others were not being so nice to him. In this comment, he shares what I'm going to call his take on where he stands on Kessinger, both earlier last year and more recently, yesterday. Because I don't want to assume that the whole family shares his opinion. I mean, he's a grown man. He's perfectly capable of sharing his own views, as are his parents. They very well may indeed all feel the same way, and I'll say this. Number one, they do not owe anyone any detailed information nor any explanation. I'm going to say it again. Shanann's family nor Mr. and Mrs. Watts owe anyone anything additional. That's not to say there aren't many unanswered questions in this case. However, it is very important to remember that neither family owes society anything for their losses. Any shortcomings in this case is a direct reflection of those investigating the case, period. I recently interviewed some members of law enforcement not related to the case, in a blind interview, meaning they had no idea about the case. I asked them some of the burning questions we have, and guys, their eyebrows went up and the questions came back literally the same that we've been asking. Yet they were able to shine some light on the procedures and policies and even pointed me to a manual straight out of Colorado that I have been trying to get through. It's a lot, but I'm excited to share some of that information with you in order to get a better understanding of why things happened the way they did, especially with regards to the plea deal. The responses, however, have been completely opposite of what her family appears to believe. Now, does that indicate any wrongdoing on their part? In my opinion, the answer is no. What I do question is what exactly were they told after the prison interview that February? We know her family is on YouTube, and as painful as it is, I can't imagine. They've got to be paying attention to some of the stuff that we've been pointing out through the years, and I'll address that later on. But after the DA swore and gave a statement both to the public and to the families that he knew what happened because he saw it, only to find out months later it didn't happen that way. Like, what in the world were they shown or told that made them wholeheartedly believe the DA, yet again, that Kessinger was innocent and not guilty of some charges, even aside from murder one? There has not been a single person, family, or member of law enforcement that I've interviewed or spoken to in the past 5 years about this case that has ever come away from the conversation thinking that she was innocent. None of them. At the very least, they had more questions. Again, the families do not owe us anything. Their job is to grieve their loss of their loved ones, and it's the state's job to provide and produce all that they collected during the course of the case and release it to the public. If in fact Kessinger is innocent, then what I don't understand is why won't the DA, as well as Shanann's family, fully come forward and provide any evidence or information that they have that clears her? Again, do they owe us that? No, they don't. So don't have any expectations. Do they owe it to Kessinger to be able to clear her so that she can show her face and not have to live in hiding? I mean, that's really how this series came about. Guys, we have to be fair and honest with ourselves. No one wants to look at Chris's first confession and question if it's even a possibility, yet many don't even seem to bat an eye about a woman who, by the state of Colorado, has been cleared and not charged with any crimes related to this case, yet she's unable to keep her name and move forward, with her life like Amber Frey did. I mean, it's my opinion. We all know she was absolutely no Amber Frey. But I mean, it happens every time I've attempted this series. Like, I posted a poll earlier today, and the phone ping was the main topic chosen. So as I was gathering information for that video, I ended up down an entirely different road of guilt with this woman. Just when I think I have an idea, I think I found a way, and it loops right into another questionable situation, direct from her own words. Even tonight, as I was editing the intro, I found 2 more questionable and unfavorable topics of guilt, rather innocence. It happens to many of us when it comes to this case. We can hear interviews hundreds of times, and each time something else jumps out. The question then becomes, just how objective can you be? If we are feeling this way 5 years later, it's difficult to imagine how the families are feeling. There are 5 stages of grief, and at any given point, you can revert back to another one. So it's never just done. You don't just get over it, and you just keep cycling back through it until eventually you gradually start moving forward. Slowly. So with all that said, the inspiration for this series was really a challenge for subscribers and viewers, as well as myself, to strengthen our ability to see this case objectively and remove all of the polarized emotional responses. Personally, I see Kessinger as an area where I felt it would be a challenge, not only for me as a content creator, but also the audience, to take all of the emotion, guys. All of it. I don't care what side of the aisle you stand on, guilt, innocence, whatever. All of it. All of the emotion out about what you feel towards this woman, and let's strictly look at it through another lens. If Shanann's family is able to feel this way and put this out, that this is how they feel, then I believe we owe it to ourselves, and even reluctantly to Kessinger, to take a step back and let's reevaluate this case. I'm telling you, it's not going to be easy. Even as I was putting all of this together, it was so hard to even consider a different perspective. But I will say there have been some instances where, whether or not I believe that's exactly how it happened, or at the very least, I feel like if it were brought to trial, I know that there is no way that they could have ever proven it beyond a reasonable doubt. So, what to expect in each video is, in each video, I'm going to point out as much reasonable doubt as I can to show that if she were ever prosecuted, that they knew with the jury she would have walked. So I'm going full circle here, guys. This was a project for me to focus and strengthen my objectivity, the way I want you guys to view these episodes and see it through the eyes of a jury. So I want, ideally, for you guys to watch each episode, and then when you're responding in the comments section, you're going to determine if you think the explanation is in fact a reasonable explanation. It may not be the one that you've gone along with or you've agreed with all this time, but it will be an alternative. It will be different than what you've heard. And you're going to have to ask yourself, is this reasonable? Like, everything else aside, is this still a possibility? And if it's reasonable, you have to throw it out. Because, again, you need the 12 jurors to find someone guilty. And so, moving on, just a little bit of background. As many of you know, Kessinger was the mistress of Chris Watts. It was alleged that their affair was only 6 weeks. However, a coworker in his interview with law enforcement places them together, invading each other's personal space at work back in March of 2018, which goes hand in hand with my timeline of when I think the affair actually kicked off. And we know, in fact, that Kessinger searched for Shanann and Chris back in 2017. I do believe I found additional information about this during, gathering all the information for the series, and I will definitely cover that in a different video. So each episode, I'm going to focus on one topic. All it takes is one twist, and you guys know it. You're down another rabbit hole, and I'm really trying to avoid try my best to avoid that and limit it to one topic in each episode. So here we have a mistress who has never been charged with any crimes, yet she's completely disappeared. I mean, I don't doubt for a second that law enforcement knows exactly where she is, but I really believe Chris got tied up into a woman with a darker past than he could truly fathom. Episode 1 will be the phone ping. I'll give you my objective thoughts on it. And then in the comments, so let me explain to you how I would like to see the comments happen. So if you like something that someone says, you can thumbs up it. If you dislike it or disagree with it, you can thumbs down their comment. However, instead of tearing into each other and going back and forth, if you see a comment that maybe differs from your opinion or your perspective, then instead of replying to them, why don't you just post, in my opinion, or my perspective on this, or my thoughts on this are, and just post your own comment. I really want the emotion to be removed from the series as best as possible. So, it is meant to be a challenge. It's not meant to just be another video out there. Like, I really want you to remove the emotion and share what your thoughts are on it. And whether or not it changes or doesn't change, it's possible that your views stay the same. And again, please remember that regardless of what you think of Shanann's family or the Watts family, if we have her family saying that regardless of how bad they wanted Kessinger to have been involved or at fault or something like that, and she wasn't, then at the very least we have to take a step back and look at what we do have and see, is there an alternative? Is there something that was blinded emotionally and overlooked? So that's really what we're going to be trying to do. We don't know the details of the conversations they had with law enforcement, and we don't know how much they even know beyond believing just simply what they were told. Please keep in mind that just because the series is called Defending Kessinger, do not mistake that for the fact that I still believe that she's guilty of some sort of crime in this. I don't know about murder one. I don't know. I go back and forth on that, honestly. And did she get a deal? I'll tell you, I believe she did. I absolutely believe she did. And I'll share more of the interviews with law enforcement to better explain that as well. At the end of the day, this is to challenge you guys as much as it is to challenge me to strengthen my objectivity and really take a step back from a case that everyone has been invested in and see it through a new lens. So let's sharpen those skills a little bit, and I'll be seeing you soon with episode 1, the phone ping. Bye, guys.